This is the Effing One Podcast, Australia's only Formula One podcast with Adam and Luke.
G'day and welcome to the Effing One Podcast, the only podcast to launch an F1 track bid with exclusive ideas and events like the Meth Museum and the nude section. That's right. No Adam and Eve leaves covering your genitals. No. This is bare ass, bollocks, vag and dick out in the sun for the tits to see to go down to watch some F1. Free fruit for some kids. Turn up. Hey kids, rock up to an F1 event. You get some free fruit. That's healthy, nutritious, fantastic. Happy. We have a newly launched part of the Nürburgring Grand Prix bid, which is Wash a Hobo. Goes hand in hand with our beautiful charity handjobs for the homeless. And it's either you could wash a hobo or a whore. We have some fabulous whores in Nürburgring, and you could come on down. You can choose whichever one you would like to scrub up and make them feel $1 million while giving them absolutely no money. And the 200-meter swim down the Nürburgring River. This is also new. A bunch of people, you get into the Nürburgring River and you swim 200 meters. If you dare, there is bull sharks. It is murky water. You could get tetanus. You could get eaten. You never know. But someone will die. And it's for a wad of cash. And that wad of cash is exactly to the prize pool amount of $47 in cold, hard Australian dollars. That's right. And once you receive your wad of cash, $47 exactly, you will be announced as the richest person in Nürburgring. And enough about this philanthropic journey that this little Aussie battler podcast. Let's head to the pantry. Go on. Go to the pantry. Disrobe from your worldly bodily covers. Lather yourself in peanut butter. And walk to the nearest dog shelter or dog pound. And thank me later. It's time to go headfirst, pants down, into another award-winning podcast that is the Effing One Podcast. Now, of course, I've mentioned our charity very briefly, but it is handjobs for the homeless, and we've had a big turnout recently. Big turnout down at the homeless shelter. Loads of plenty. Happy, smiley, methed-up faces, not a tooth between them. But they're walking around light and have some focus in their life for just a second before they go on rambling about the government listening to their phone calls and text messages. The government doesn't care about you. That's why you're on the streets. 3 talking points from the race. The French Grand Prix at Paul Ricard. I love how French put in letters you're just not supposed to say. And like the town Cockburn. 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 No, it's called Coburn. No, it's not. You can't have 2 silent letters in a name. You can either have COC or COK. You can't have the K of a CK taken away and made it silent. You are Cockburn. So the 3 talking points that I've got here are Leclerc. He's playing stupid again. He was stupid when he crashed into the big fucking tower thing in Azerbaijan back in the day a couple of years ago when he fucked it in qualifying. And he was stupid again today. But he didn't say he was stupid. But that loud roar, that guttural roar, that no in his fancy European accent, so much better and so much more passion. And real despair because he kind of shot himself in the foot there, old Charlie Leclerc. I don't know how he's going to come back from this. I don't know how he's going to claw those points back that he has thrown away by reversing it down into that corner, spinning it around and hitting head first. Couldn't get reverse. He said he couldn't get throttled. Don't know what happened. Maybe the crash damaged something. But he couldn't get out of there. And poor Chuck Leclerc. He loses another Grand Prix, and a Grand Prix that he should have won. 25 points should have been his. He held off a very somewhat tame Max Verstappen when Max tried to make the overtaking move. They went side by side through a couple of corners. I do like that, but Chuck came out ahead, and then Max's tyres went off a little bit. And if he could just stay out there and fight, we're going to need some Max DNFs. So maybe Lewis Hamilton can help us out there. Where's a Pastor Maldonado when you need him to really fuck up someone else's championship? Lance Stroll beat Sebastian Vettel in a race, which forces Sebastian to ask some questions about his future. Now, will he stay in F1? Will he not? We don't know. Stroll has beaten him wheel to wheel. Even kind of brake tested him in the last corner. I think he just kind of eased up on the throttle. Probably didn't touch the brake because he doesn't want to get in trouble. But he was kind of very, very slow mid-corner where Vettel had a good run on him. But, yeah, Sebastian got something to think about. The French drivers are shit, is my third point. Ocon and Gasly, I should call him, Pierre Gasly. It was a shit show for those boys. Ocon did still manage to finish the race. I think he got some points. I think it's the first time he's got points on home soil. Congratulations, Ocon. But in terms of being shit, you'd think you always say that your home race gives you like 0.2 of a boost. Didn't quite happen for the French. Tsunoda out-qualified Gasly, and well, we know what happened with Ocon. Got out-qualified and out-raced by his much older teammates, two-time world champion Fernando Alonso, or the Mini-Fons, the Fons, as we call him on the podcast. Could have been better. It was Verstappen, Hamilton, Russell was the podium. Perez in fourth, got overtaken late by Russell with the virtual safety car ending. Russell got a good jump on and overtook him there. Sainz, a fantastic position from where he was when he had his grid penalty, so he drove all the way up to fifth. He got driver of the day, according to all the Formula 1 fans out there. Alonso, Norris, Ocon in eighth. Ricciardo getting done by Ocon late in the race. Ricciardo didn't have much speed out there compared to his teammate. But closer in qualifying for Daniel, so that's a good sign. Stroll, Vettel for 10th and 11th, fighting over that final point. Stroll got it done. Vettel questions his future. Then we got Gasly, Albon, Bottas, Mick Schumacher, Zhou Guanyu, Latifi, Magnussen, Leclerc, and Tsunoda heavily featuring in the third championship, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. But that is your top 20. Yeah, that's right. Latifi always seems to make the top 20. It's surprising. There you go. He still hasn't scored points this season. I don't know. It's not looking good for the Frenchies. Ocon's still got another year. Gasly has been re-signed. But I tell you what, then they're underperforming. Tsunoda is getting the jump every now and again on Gasly. But Tsunoda got taken out by a Frenchman, actually. Got taken out by Ocon. He made contact with him, side-by-side stuff. I think when they go side-by-side, they cut the corner a bit, they hit the curb, that pushes them wide. The same thing happened with George Russell and Sergio Perez, and my God, that George Russell, he can fucking whinge. And I love that Toto got on the thing, because he's like, no, I'm sick of... You could tell he was sick of what he was talking about. He's sick of the talk. Let's just get focus on your driving, George, and get the job done. Stop whinging and complaining. Front wheel to rear wheel. So therefore you've got the position. Sorry, front wheel to rear wheel. That's not... If you go over the start-finish line with your front wheel at his rear wheel, guess what? You don't have the position, son. Sergio will. You guys made a little bit of contact, which pushes him wide. You can't just push someone off a track. It's that simple. If there's a wall there, he's pushed into the wall. You wouldn't do that if there was a wall there. But because there's so much fucking room around the Le Castellet Paul Ricard circuit, you fucking let him have it. You hit him. There's a little tap. If he tried to stay further around, you've pushed him wide. You made contact, he boarded. He's like, nah, I'm not going to lose more parts of my car just to try and force a situation with you. I'll wait, we'll race again. And that's what he did. He got done. Great move, very opportunistic, but stop your fucking whinging. Front wheel to rear wheel. You may think that's an overtake done. It's not, champ. You got to both go around that fucking corner. You can't just go, well, my nose is in front of your rear wheel. You're fucked. I've got the spot. No. Hopefully the FIA will come out with a directive. Maybe it's a George Russell directive. We go, no. It may be the letter of the law like, oh, yep, you may have, prime position, but it doesn't mean the overtake's done. Not at all. Far from it. Just fucking chill, son. You're a pretty boy. You've got the world ahead of you. You can overtake him eventually. And Toto came in at the right point saying, no, shut the fuck up, George. Get the overtake done and stop with this nonsense. Even his engineer was saying we weren't in front. It's like, just calm down. We're not going to be going because you weren't in front. You had your front wheel in front of his rear wheel. Whoop-de-fucking-do. As I said, go over the start-finish line and tell me who finishes first, you dickhead. Oh, all right. Let's just focus. And I've got some ideas before I get onto the awards. Some ideas to make Formula 1 great again. The idea this week to make Formula 1 great again is that I get to interview every driver and I get to ask them 10 questions. And they can't skip or avoid answering them. These are the questions I'm going to ask every Formula 1 driver if I get the opportunity. Have you ever given a blowjob or received hand relief from a homeless person? Question number 2. What are you doing for the homeless people? Question number 3. If cats were 10 times larger, would you try to be friends with them or rebel against the cat empire? I'm not talking about the band either. Another question. Who has the worst BO in Formula 1? Another question. What's your kink? I'm interested to know what these Formula 1 drivers are, what they're interested in sexually. What gets them off? What gets them titillated? What gets them hard? What gets them over the edge? Because I just want to expose it, really. I don't care. I probably might rub one off and think, oh yeah, what's your kink? All right, I'll try it. Nah, not for me. Next question, I think this is question number 6. Besides your mum, who's your favourite woman in history? And if I don't get these answers from Formula 1 drivers, I'm going to make it up. Which sponsor would you like to represent? Now, this is just, some guys that might be Trojan. Yuki Tsunoda, you would like that. Some of them might be Nike. Some of them might be boring, dull Saab. Who knows? Another question is, what's your death row meal? I just want to know what you would gorge yourself on before being put to death. I don't know what you're being put to death for. We can come up with scenarios that would lead to you being killed. But what would your last meal be, basically? Because you never know when you're going to die. But let's make the last meal the good meal. What's your favourite car to drive or your dream car to own? I know, I had to throw a car one in there. And the last one, are you jealous of any driver? Someone's skill, someone's car, the team that they're in, the size of their penis? You never know. Another one for Yuki. I'm giving the race rating a 6.5 out of 10. As I said before, Max Verstappen, Hamilton and Russell on the podium. Max inherited that lead after Chuck did the old spinny crash. I tried to get Adam on this podcast. He'd been without work for a little bit. He'd got made redundant from his previous job. It was taking up so much time, and now he's back at his old job. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that could mean he might get back on the podcast. We don't know. I'm holding my breath until he comes back on. Now, Green Award. We're giving to Esteban Ocon for taking out Sweary Tsunoda. The Lick It and Send It Award going for Carlos Sainz on Sergio Perez. It was multiple corner battle, and I think that's what I love about these new cars. They can stick close and enjoy each other's company while they go side by side around corners and then finally make the move. Pasta Maldonado, Ocon, again on Sonoda. Like, you get the green award and you get the Pasta Maldonado award for dangerous driving. There was a Latifi Magnussen little bungle. I think just plain stupidity on Leclerc's point where he just crashed into the wall all by himself. I thought maybe it was a gust of wind. Maybe he had, he talked about throttle. Maybe it was his throttle getting stuck again. No. It was him being stupid. But we're giving the Pasta Maldonado award to Esteban Ocon for dangerous driving and taking out Yuki Tsunoda, who ended up retiring. The Effing One Podcast Award for making Formula 1 great again, we're giving that beautiful award made by producer Pete, who's next to me in the Hyundai i30, just making sure that all the levels are right. We're giving it to Fernando Alonso and his fantastic flying starts. His start alone, watching it live and on the replay, gave me 2 ejaculations. That's right, I came watching Alonso start. That's how good it was. The Yuji Ide Award for wasting everyone's time, and there's no one who really wastes time quite like Nicholas Latifi. Congratulations, Nicholas. You are a fucking waste of time. And the last award, that's right, it's the Your Shit award. And no, it's not going to Nikita Mazepin. We know he is. But this time we're going to give it to Charles Leclerc for racing his ass off and then crashing and just being a fucking idiot. So for crashing out on your own, no one's contact, no one else, all on you. We're giving the Your Shit award to Charles Leclerc. The fastest lap was Carlos Sainz with a 1 minute 35.781. Fastest pit stop was Red Bull with a 2.44 second pit stop. 4 wheels off, 4 wheels on, 2.4 seconds. It's fucking quick. And driver of the day, as I said before, Carlos Sainz. Now the tips. The tips were very, very close. Some good qualifying tips by myself and Cliff. Congratulations, Cliff. Did a fantastic job there. We both got 9 in the quali, and then we got some 7s in the previous one. So we both got 16, leading the points. T got 13 points, was the lowest points. So the leaderboard is 163 for me, 163 for Pat, Jim 158, Pete 144, T 148, Cliff 159. It's tight up the top. We are in a tie, Luke and Pat. Enjoying it. The third championship, now this is the reverse championship. If you finish in the bottom half of the race, you don't get any points, but you do get points towards your third championship. It's not FIA sanctioned quite yet, but if I have my way and if Formula 1 keeps stealing my ideas, you will see the third championship in full effect. Hopefully we can get some massive turd to be presented to the shittest driver of the day, which would have been Tsunoda. So he got negative 25 points for finishing dead last. Then, a slightly smaller turd to be given to Charles Leclerc on the shit podium, and maybe it's underneath and the turd falls upon them from above the podium. And so the leader of the third championship is Nicholas Latifi. He's on 111 points. Latifi's really taken this championship seriously. Junior Schumacher's on 100, striking the triple digits this time. Then we have Swery, Tsunoda and Great Wall. Swery's on 96. And Great Wall Joe is on 94. It's tied up the top. Then you've got Suck My Balls Magnussen in negative 80. It's all to play for still in the third championship, so tune in when we can really take a look and see what's going on towards the end of the year. I'm excited for the championship. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than the actual championship unless Charles Leclerc can get Max to spin and crash like he does. And on to the F1 news. Sebastian Vettel retires from Formula One. That's right. While I've been recording this podcast, I have on my hands that Sebastian Vettel is retiring from Formula One. And I was there to have a quick interview with Sebastian. Hey guys, it's me, Sebastian Vettel, 4-time world champion, whatever. Sebastian, welcome to the podcast. You've announced your retirement from Formula One, and more importantly, you've arrived on Instagram. For a man who's wants nothing to do with social media, you are now on Instagram. Congratulations. Yeah, look, I just thought, with my career coming to an end, I thought maybe I should be an Instagram influencer. I can get into all the people's DMs and send my dicky pics, I really want to be in contact with the people, 4-time world champion, I haven't really had much chance. I want to explore some things, I thought you didn't know that my favorite color is blue, and my wife Helga and I are trying to experiment and try some new things. Well, I was pretty sure that you guys were always going to experiment and try some new things. I already thought you already did that with some of the messages and phone calls I'd been receiving from you. Yeah, look, listen, we can all dream, can't we? So I did my video in the most German way possible. I didn't want to, show emotion, even when I said I like to make people laugh. I just said it with like this solemn face that I want people to cry when they laugh. It's very German, and I think I encapsulated everything that I wanted to, the dramatic black and white, and I wanted to sort of bring light into some situations, but also not show it on my face. So maybe acting's not in my thing, but as a social media influencer, I could pretty much do whatever I want. So I've got like heaps of likes now, and so basically I'm famous. Make sure you slide into my DMs and send me all the dicky pics. So if there's anyone else who listens to this, what is this podcast called again? It's the F1 podcast. I don't give a fucking shit, look. So I don't need Formula One anymore. I don't need this fucking podcast, but you know where to reach me. Okay, bye! Sebastian Vettel joining us on the podcast, announcing his retirement from Formula One. Thankfully not his retirement from this podcast. Next up, is Lance Stroll going to be the team leader at Aston Martin, or are they going to find someone who's better than him? I'm sure whoever they choose, they will be better than Lance Stroll, unless they pick Nicholas Latifi. Imagine that, those two in a car together. Aston Martin's stock would plummet. Porsche, 50% into Red Bull Racing. Porsche, the German manufacturer, has purchased, or is likely to purchase, there's rumours they have, I believe it's done and dusted. Porsche have bought 50% of Red Bull Racing. Now that's a very interesting concept. Are they going to be supplying engines? Are they going to turn it into a full Porsche team? Is this Red Bull's way of getting out of Formula One? Who knows? Is Red Bull going to pull out of all action sports? I don't think so. Maybe they'll just sponsor Porsche. But I like to see a new manufacturer coming on board and taking charge. I bet Porsche brought a little bit more money than what Michael Andretti could afford. Now, the next race, we are going to Hungary, the little go-kart track of a Formula One track. I quite like it. They extended the pit lane by 200 metres a few years ago, and it has made a bit of a difference. 4.381 kilometres. Now, this is a tight and twisty circuit. It is very go-kart track, and it's been very difficult to overtake in the past. Mainly down into turn 1, occasionally down into turn 2 around the outside before going to the inside of turn 3. I think someone made a move. It was probably Alonso last year, made a move in turn 4. Last year was a turn up for the books. Esteban Ocon won the race ahead of Sebastian Vettel, who was later disqualified, unfortunately. But yeah, the last year's winner was Ocon ahead of Hamilton and Carlos Sainz. Hamilton started on his own after the restart. There was a big crash. There was a bunch of stupid people being stupid. A whole heap of cars got taken out. It was an unfortunate incident. Max suffered some big damage. I think it was Lance Stroll caused part of the accident, avoided his best mate Esteban Ocon, which, how convenient. I think we should look into that a year later. That I did mention it that year. The best friend did manage to miss to then take out the rest of the field in somewhat of a Nelson Piquet Jr., causing a massive kerfuffle. And on the restart, the track had dried up. Hamilton went out on his own at the start. Everyone else went into pit lane to get some dry tyres on, because halfway around the track I was like, this is dry, let's just pit. So everyone pitted but Lewis, and he was all on his own. It was kind of like, it was very poignant. I liked it. He was all on his own out there, him versus the world. Then it went green and everyone exited the pit lane when Lewis went past. The funny thing is, what if Lewis never passed pit lane? Would everyone just be stuck in pit lane? George Russell tried to make a sneaky move by going around the inside of everyone. Ended up getting told to go back to 8th champ. You can't pull that shit. So that was the Hungarian Grand Prix last time. Are we going to get something like that this year? Probably not. The weather looks to be fine on Sunday, wet on Saturday though. So if they'd done my double race weekend, we could get a wet race, but they're not. They're just doing free practice 1, 2, 3, qualifying, and then the race. But the weather looks fine on Friday and Sunday. And let's look at this 4.381 kilometre track around the Hungaroring, 70 laps. First Grand Prix was in 1986. The race distance is 306.63 kilometres. The lap record is held by Lewis Hamilton, 2020, with a 1 minute 16.627. The last pole last year was a 1:15.419, 3/10 ahead of Bottas by Hamilton, who got pole. Verstappen got third in qualifying with a 1:15.8. Yes, it should be very interesting to see what's going to happen for this race. The tyres are the C2, C3 and C4. And for those of you who are very interested in the front, starting pressures is 22 psi on the front and 18 psi on the rear. The camber limit is 3.5 on the front tyre and 2.0 degrees on the rear. You can't go past that on the camber, or else you'll get chucked in jail, in Hungarian jail, and you will never get out. The PSI, as we say every podcast, the PSI could be subject to change after free practice too, depending on tyre wear. If there's any safety issues or concerns, that could go up or down. Spoken about the weather, the race times, it's the same race time as last week. So if you have watched the Austrian Grand Prix, or the French Grand Prix, my apologies, that's what you can expect that the race times are going to be. So it was 11 o'clock here in Queensland, or in Nerang. If you're very, very interested, I'll give you all the particular race times right now. Auckland, New Zealand, Monday, 1 a.m, 10:30 Adelaide, 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. Perth, Australia. Kathmandu, Nepal, 6:45 p.m. Abu Dhabi, you are looking at, I think it's around 5 p.m. Dubai is 5 p.m, so I'm guessing they'd be around the same time. Helsinki in Finland, 4 p.m. Stockholm, Sweden, you are looking at 3 p.m. London, England, 2 p.m. Sao Paulo, Brazil, 10 a.m. New York, USA, 9 a.m. Los Angeles, 6 a.m. and Hawaii, 3 a.m. Sunday morning. That's going to be a kind of a time to watch a race, as it always is for the Hawaiians. They don't get much of a break there. But that is the Effing One podcast for the wrap of the French Grand Prix and a preview into this weekend's Hungarian Grand Prix. I'll be eating some goulash, some fisherman soup. I think it's called halazle, chicken paprikash. It's delicious. Meat pancakes. Now, who doesn't love a good old meat pancake? slap it on top of each other, and some stuffed cabbage leaves to top it off. Oh, sink your teeth into that. Enjoy the Hungarian Grand Prix, and I'll be talking to you after that. Cheers, cunts!